Welcome to this session about permission service, which will help you to gain permissions to PayPal customers' resources via APIs. So I'm Yulia Gorbunova. I'm a product manager for this service. Here with me I have Sarathi, who is also a product manager on this, for this product. So this product is for an application to solicit and gain permissions to do some actions on your customer's behalf. Got it. No. Sorry. Oh, got it. Yeah. So how many of you have applications that do something on your customer's behalf? Do you know? Yay, good. Good, so you're in the right place. So in this session, I would like to cover current experience for some use cases. How does app goes about gaining permissions? Then I'll go over vision and goals for this service, followed by some use cases and benefits for those use cases from using the service. I will go on a high level how to integrate with the service and to make third-party calls afterwards. I'll overview the functionality available in this service. I'll do the live demo, well, sandbox live demo, and we'll go to some conclusions. So this service, as I said, for the applications that perform some actions on customers' behalf. For an example, if I have a website, some business where I want to have a, let's say, a shopping cart solution, I will typically go to a shopping cart provider, set up an account with them, then that shopping cart provider will give me instructions, something like that, about 10 steps of where I would have to go, leave their onboarding flow, and go to a PayPal account, perform number of steps, manually enter their API username, then check some boxes here to allow them to make API calls on my behalf, and finally submit and be ready. Off I go, log into my PayPal account, I get to profile page, select API access, then grant API permissions. Then here I'll type their API username, select the checkboxes, and if I need more detailed permissions, I will be brought to the page that that list API calls that your app will need to make on the customer's behalf. And finally, when I'm done, I'll have to make a phone call back to the app provider and tell them, okay, I'm all set up. Your app will work for me now. This is a typical experience right now. So this product, this permission service, its vision is to create a service that will allow you to solicit permissions without leaving your app. And by doing that, onboarding of your customers becomes so much more seamless and faster. The descriptions of the permissions will be presented in a plain English language, not the API call names. And the solution itself is built on open standard. So this service will make your life and life of your customers easier. Some of the examples of use cases, I've already mentioned the shopping cart. But to be a little bit more exact, typically a shopping cart application will use Express Checkout, which is a product provided by PayPal, on merchants' behalf. So for that to happen, the shopping cart app will need third-party permissions. The app will integrate with permission service and gain permissions without leaving onboarding flow. And after that, the Express Checkout calls can be made on behalf of the users. Another example is spending report application. If I'm an end consumer and I would like your app that provides a nice spending report of where I spend my money with PayPal, typically I will need access to transaction search, to your customer's transaction search. And for that, again, you'll need to gain third-party permissions from your customer. You'll integrate with permission service, you'll gain permissions without leaving your app, and off you go generating the reports for your customers. So after integrating with permission service, the experience will look something like that. So again, let's say I have I need a shopping cart. So I'll still go to provider, create account, fill up applications, and after that I'll be redirected to a page where permissions are listed right here next to the green check marks in a plain English, basically saying, please grant me permissions. I need the permissions from you to provide service. When I grant it, I'm on success page, and I can go back to the shopping cart software here. And you're done. So it's definitely shorter and seamless experience. On a high level, this is what happens on the background. So first, on your site or your app, you will make an API call called request permissions to PayPal, where you list the permissions that you want to solicit. And you'll get back a request token. With the request token, you make HTTP redirect for your customer, where your customer will need to log in if they're not logged in already. If they are, this page will be skipped, and the page of where a customer will grant permissions. Then you'll return back with verifier code that identifies you as a requester of the permissions. In step number 3, you'll make get access token, API call, passing the request token and verifier code, and you'll get back the access token. So now I will describe in a little more detail what actually happens. So when you make a request permissions call, you pass in return URL and the list of permissions that your app needs. You'll get back request token. So when you make a HTTP redirect, what happens is after a customer successfully granted permissions, the return URL that you passed in the first call, will play along, redirecting your user back and passing you a verifier code. Finally, you'll make get access token call, where you pass in request token and verifier code, and you'll get back access token and token secret. Now you're with access token and token secret, you're all set up to make third-party call. For that, you'll need to do 2 things. You'll need to generate authorization signature, and you'll need to pass that in HTTP header. So for generating authorization signature, you have a couple options. You can either use the permission service SDK that's provided on x.com, and if you want to rip it out and don't use the full SDK, you can just take the method in the hierarchy that's listed here. That's a Java example, but the SDKs are provided in other languages. Or you write your own tool for generating the signature. So when you make an API call, you populate your HTTP header with that signature. And I'll go into more details. So either way you go with the signature generation, you will, these are the required parameters, input parameters for generating signature. So API username is something that you currently have as an API caller, as well as password. That's PayPal generates for you once you apply for API credentials. The access token and token secret is what you got from integrating with permission service. And access token is something that we internally keep as the identifier of your relationship with a customer. And request URI, it's an endpoint against which you're executing your calls. So this is live, and sandbox would be a different URI. this is examples of output. This is how a signature looks like approximately, and this is a time step when the signature was generated. So right now, most of you should probably are familiar with this setup. In order to make a third-party API call, you usually pass in user password API signature that PayPal generates for you and a subject. So with permission service, you'll pass one HTTP header called X PayPal authorization, and in that you'll pass time step token and signature. And that's all you need to pass to make third-party call. This is an overview of operations that's available in this permission service. We've already gone through request permissions. Just on a high level again, what it does, it tells us, PayPal, okay, I want to solicit these permissions, list the permissions, and returns the request token. For get access token, it basically exchanges your request token to an access token, which represents the relationship between you, your account, and your customer's account. And another useful function it has, it can convert your current subject relationship with your customer to a token secret pair. You can get permissions given an access token. You can see the list of things that your customer permitted you to do. And you can cancel permissions, if you'd like, with a given customer, with a given access token. So now I would like to take you through all the permissions that are available through this service using some use cases. So let's say, again, it's a shopping cart. So typically, shopping cart, as a shopping cart app, will make the following API calls. So if you notice, there are boxes. So Express Checkout is a product that has 3 API calls. So the user, once you integrate, the shopping cart integrates with the permission service, the user will not see individual APIs like it is right now listed on the profile page. They will see an English phrase describing that I'm asking for permissions to use Express Checkout to process payment. The same goes for authorization capture APIs. So authorize and capture your payment transactions. Let's say you have an analytics app. And usually analytic apps will work off of PayPal transactions, of customers' PayPal transactions. So it will work with get transaction details, transaction search, get balance, API calls. And again, for the end user, these APIs don't really mean much. What they do want to know, that they're granting access to their account balance, or they're granting access to see the transaction details. That's what they want to know, and that's what's going to get displayed for them once your app integrates with permission service. Another example would be some recurring payments, or maybe bill payments, subscriptions. We have a suite of APIs that call recurring payments. In a current situation, the manual directions that you've seen in the beginning will take user through each checkbox. Imagine how many there are. With permission service, you have one line. Create and manage recurring payments. That says everything to the end user, everything they need to know. Disbursement. For example, there's a payroll application. You guys wrote payroll application, and you could use MassPay, for example. In this case, an end user will again see something very user-friendly on the screen. So for large partner or channel integrations, they usually also revolve around payments for kind of shopping cart-like applications. And if you notice, there are two functions listed here: settlement consolidation and settlement reporting. So these are actually non-API calls, but in order for to consolidate funds and report on funds for the child accounts, the third party needs to be also enabled. So for the end user, it will show something like the consolidate funds from 2 or more child accounts to a master account. Bill pay, we have product with 4 APIs plus refund, and it will show like 2 simple lines that, you know, you're granting permissions for pre-approved payments. So now I'm going to switch to a demo. I can demonstrate all those API calls on Sandbox. So this is an example of a SDK that it's a Java MVP SDK. Should be available on x.com right now. Right here, all of the APIs are listed. This service is in beta right now. So if I'd like to request permissions, let's say express checkout, do direct payment, refund. I submit. The API call actually goes against Sandbox live right now. Then I redirect to the URL. And you can see the request token is appended right here at the end. So now, let's say I'm a merchant. I have to log in. And these are permissions I selected: express checkout, direct payments, and refund. I grant permissions. I successfully granted permissions. I return back, and verification code and request token, I think you can see it right here, verification code and request token I already showed you. Now I make API called get access token, passing this to in request token and verification code. So now I got my access token and token secret right here. So now I'm ready to generate signature and make API calls on someone's behalf, on the behalf of the user that just logged in. This is our merchant API, SDK for merchant APIs, and we create another option for signature. That's the exact screen that you guys saw in the presentation. So if I go back and get the access token and token secret, of course it could be integrated seamlessly. It's just the best way for me to demo. So the signature and time step got generated. If I go back to set up my profile, so this screen basically set up your HTTP header on Sandbox. So now I'm ready to do express checkout call. That's what I got permissions for. So at this point, set express checkout call is made on behalf of a merchant, of the business account. So now this is a customer of the merchant who granted permissions. So I need some buyer. Basically, I have a buyer's account that logs in and approves the purchase. So at this point, set express checkout and get express checkout calls were made on my customer's behalf. Sorry. So with that, I'd like to go to conclusions and emphasize that permission service enables you to onboard your customers without going through manual steps and without leaving your onboarding flow. It provides non-technical explanations for the permissions requested. It's simple and secure, and right now it supports 29 APIs and 3 non-API functions. Questions? So it's available in beta now. Beta meaning there's a few tweaks that we're still doing to it, and I can give you details what they are. And it's available live, it's available in Sandbox right now.
So in your example, your token is so in your example, the token is passed on. If you want to be able to make more than one transaction on behalf of a particular user, do you need to generate a new token every single time, or can it be cached?
No, token is something you store, something you hold on to. It's an identifier of your relationship with a customer. What you do generate signature every time.
So they would need to go through the authorization process.
No. They go through authorization once. Let me just go back to this. Sorry, this. So they go through the Webflow. They go through this once, and once you get access token, this is it. For now, access token long-lived until revoked, until it's revoked by the customer. Or if you want to cancel the permissions for some legal reasons, you can do that. But once you have access token, all you do is generate signature and make a call.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow up on the signature, what does that do? It on a per API basis you're making the signature call?
It's per call. It's not really per API, it's per bundle of APIs. So one access token represents your relationship with the customer for those APIs that you requested, or for those bundles that you requested.
Okay. And one other question I had was that you mentioned that the request access token lasts until permission is kind of revoked. Do you have any kind of security behind that, saying that once every 90 days or some?
No, right now we don't have. That? No, it's basically similar to how third-party permissions granted right now. It's until revoked.
Okay.
There was another question right here in front.
So can you, as a customer, go into PayPal and pick and choose the permissions you give, or can you just revoke access tokens as a whole?
So a customer can go to their PayPal site to profile page and revoke everything. So typically the idea here is that your app needs to do these 3 things on customer's behalf in order to provide the service. It doesn't, at least in our mind, it doesn't work partially. I can do this for you, but not this. So it's all or nothing. Did it answer your question? Yeah, cool.
So if this becomes more and more popular, a customer may have given lots and lots and lots of permissions to lots and lots of places. How does the customer manage that?
So there is a profile page, which currently is wired off. I can probably show it to you. I don't know how much time we've got. But it's going to basically have a similar page to, let me show you, to this. Very similar, but a lot prettier. Something like that. But it's a lot prettier, where you can remove, manage, edit, access, view. Well, there's a new one that's currently wired off, and I can, yeah.
Sorry, just to follow up. So from a liability perspective, if something goes wrong and you are, let's say, the merchant between a sender and a receiver, who's technically liable for that? Like, do they get in touch with you, the merchant, or do they get in touch with you, PayPal?
It depends on who is merchant of record, from what I understand. And we didn't change the rules. Whatever rules are right now, I believe if you're executing calls on behalf of merchant for that customer, the merchant is merchant of record, not the API caller.
Okay.
you said at the beginning that this was based on an open standard. Is this OAuth, or is this just simply a PayPal specific thing?
That's a great question, and I waited for that question. So we did want to implement OAuth, pure OAuth. There was some difficulties with that internally as well as externally, and it's based on OAuth, and we're right now testing whether open source libraries will work with this, because it just got released in October. But the idea is that we will move to OAuth soon, and all the building blocks are already there. Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you.